Do you swing?
Are you kidding, baby? I put the gar in swinger, baby, yeah!
Austin Powers
Crazy, baby, yeah!
is back.
Yeah, baby, yeah! Back in the 60s when I got my mojo working overtime, baby! Yeah!
Austin Powers is a swinging photographer by day and a super secret agent by night who likes the ladies and likes to save the world and likes to defeat his nemesis, Dr. Evil.
Swallows. That's an interesting name.
Maiden name Spitz.
Well, which is it, baby? Spits or swallows?
For me personally, there are two sources that I think strongly influenced the film. One is the Flint series. There's something about Our Man Flint that still just blows my mind, and I can watch it with a big grin on my face. Not always laughing the way you laugh, the way you laugh at some of the jokes in Austin Powers, but just smiling and feeling very kind of warm and comforted by the style and feeling and the boldness of trying to make a character who could be so beloved.
How does that feel, baby?
Lower.
How does that feel, baby?
I think one of the great things for, Mike and Jay to kind of have a chance to revisit it is that this time they're really clear about what the world of Austin is.
Great plan, Einstein.
All right, zip it.
You can't...
Zip.
It's simple.
City to hype in the world. Mita Hioto. Subtitle. Zip it.
Frau, this...
You know...
We got to take the characters that we'd started with, add a few new ones, but let the old ones, especially Dr. Evil and Frau and certainly Austin, find new flavors, all of which started in those old films, started in Mike's head, but were all recombined and are now evolving in a way that is so much their own that it's almost hard to say they're from they're from James Coburn and Flint, or they're from Dean Martin and The Ambushers, or Connery and Bond, but they certainly have those parents. They still have, as we've talked about, they still have the genetic structure of those original elements, but the whole recombinant DNA of these things has allowed them to evolve into something completely their own.
And Dr. Evil, I think, in a way, is sometimes even more endearing than Austin. Because Austin, even if he has lost his mojo or whatever, is a pretty kind of confident guy who's out there in the world, saving the world and getting the girl and all those things, which sometimes is not so easy for an audience to identify with. Whereas Dr. Evil seems like the guy who just is trying so hard and doesn't always get it right. And there's something really funny and human about that. Nothing ever quite goes right in Dr. Evil's world.
I'm really into Dr. Evil. The whole Dr. Evil thing.
What is it about Dr. Evil?
He's a man of mystery, even more than Austin Powers is. He's just like, he's funny. I don't know, that character just kills me for some reason, because he's like this, he's kind of soft. He's so evil, but he's so soft in a way. He's like a big baby.
Talk to the hand, because the face don't want to hear it anymore. Don't go there, girlfriend.
Evil is his one and only name. Evil, in his mind there is no other
It's good to laugh.
Dr. Evil goes back in time. He creates a time machine, goes back in time, and steals Austin Powers' mojo.
I'm going to go back to the 60s and steal Austin Powers' mojo. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to travel through time. I bid you adieu.
Time travel is always a very complex system that you have to design and then define within the film and kind of teach people the rules of time travel.
We have invented the time machine too. To travel you back to the 60s. There it is.
But Basil, isn't that the new Volkswagen Beetle? Oh, that's what they'd like you to be.
When you travel back in time, you can go from one decade to the next, but you lose your clothes, or you can only travel back in time when the clock strikes midnight and the lightning strikes this, and if you miss your window of time, your window of opportunity to travel through time, you're stuck in the decade that you were left in forever.
Okay, so if I travel back to 1969 and I was frozen in 1967, presumably I could still visit my own frozen self. But if I'm still frozen in 1967 and I've been unthawed in the 90s, how can I travel back to the... Oh no, I've gone cross-eyed.
We've decided to conveniently redefine time travel by saying we want the rules of time travel to be whatever we need them to be in a particular scene, and also have fun, therefore, hopefully, spoofing a little bit the notion of how complex time travel really is.
So Austin has to go back, get his mojo, defeat Dr. Evil, save the world, and get the girl. It's a tall order. We'll see how he does.
With the help of the beautiful Felicity Shagwell.
I'm a very important secret agent with the CIA, and I'm, sent to England to, I'm working there, and I have to protect Austin Powers from all the, evil people that are trying to kill him.
Move over, Rover. This chick is taking over.
Well, I think Mike said that he based it somewhat on Barbarella, as you can see from my hairdo. And, they recommended me a bunch of 60s movies to watch. But basically, I'm just a swinging chick that is in love with Austin Powers and kind of aspires to be him, sort of the female version of him. But it's also a love story where we sort of fall in love and forget that we wanted to be swingers ever because we're just in love.
Hello, Vicar.
Austin Powers is her idol and her role model as a spy, and so when he shows up 2 years later, she's dying to connect with him, and we start to realize that she's almost more Austin than Austin at this point. He's lost his mojo. She's just in her prime, and she has even more instincts for free love and free-spiritedness than he does, and because he's kind of now in a place of insecurity and vulnerability, the great new clash is having him come up against somebody who's more himself than he is, and how does he rediscover his identity, and what's it going to mean when he's going to get into a love embrace with a woman who not only loves him but completely patterns her whole identity after him.
I think out of all of the actors and comedians that I work with, he is like just so naturally gifted to movement and to music. Like, he really knows about accents and how to feel music. And so he's really easy to work with in that way, and he's also very creative. I think his eye is always out there, and he gets, he finds humor in everything. Like, there's a move when we were doing the piece with Mike and Heather, he was talking about a ballroom competition he had seen, and this really ridiculous step. And he put it into the number, and it was so funny. So I think I think he really loves music and dance. So he's constantly watching things and finding, what is supposed to be like a real serious move. He finds a humor in it, and then he brings it to the table, and it really is funny.
The sort of sexiness of the party that we tried to create in the 60s really comes from, there's a germ of that comes from Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, which is really just the prime example of 60s craziness, and the fact that you would have, a 60-year-old man in a tuxedo and a 19-year-old girl in a mini dress and somebody in a bikini walking by and some complete freak and a guy with a turban, and it's just such a mood of it was such an ethnic mix at that time. It was a lot of experimentation. So, and people were very free and very open. It was that whole sort of sexual revolution. And so even though it was a time of feminism brewing, it was also a time of let it all hang out. And so we wanted to play up kind of how politically incorrect as it may be, how sort of sexy and beautiful these women are, and really just show them off at their best.
We're on the back lot at Universal Studios, and this is Carnaby Street in 1969, or our version of Carnaby Street in 1969. It's a very small, short street in London. It was like really the fashion center, in the height of the 60s, and still sort of is. It's similar to St. Mark's Place in New York or Melrose. Actually, Melrose is a lot of inspiration for our energy and the crowds here today. But what we've done is we've taken the layout of Carnaby Street, which is actually very short in 1969, and used a lot of the names of the shops, changed the colors around and flopped them from side to side on each side of the street, plus built a place that would duplicate Austin's pad. So it's also the exterior of where he lives.
All the English jokes in it are very well done. A lot of people in America, the little slang things he says, they're very funny. And this street that they've done up, I don't recall, exactly how Carnaby Street looked at that time, but all the street signs and the names of the shops are all for real, and the way people are dressed is amazing. It's funny.
You're light as a feather.
Well, that's because I've been swept off my feet.
Gentlemen, to begin with, tell me a little bit about what you're doing here today. You're here.
I wasn't ready for that one. We weren't ready for that at all. Let's start.
You're here at Universal Studios on the set of Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me. Tell me how this came about.
We went to make the track a week ago with a core rhythm section, and Elvis was in Sweden, and he came over.
I flew here to do.
Left the snowstorm, got here. We, put his vocal in on Sunday.
And now we should say, what day is it today?
Today is Tuesday. So if it's Tuesday, we must be shooting the scene.
Yeah.
Here we go in 3, 2, 1, applause!
Thank you. Thank you very much. If you just joined us, today's topic is My Father is Evil and he wants to take over the world. Okay, let's welcome Scott Evil. Hi, Scott. Nice to have you with us.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah, tell us about your father.
Well, my dad's the head of a worldwide evil organization with aspirations for world domination.
And when you showed up here on the set, what did you think when you looked around and saw?
Incredible work. It is, there's some details perhaps that aren't exactly like, our set, but boy, overall, it's pretty much it. And, so there's a feel, there really was a feel in doing the scene that I was doing my show. And, the only difference is these are actors, but it was the same sense of showtime. So I really didn't feel that I was acting, which is probably good, because me acting is not a pretty picture.
Coming this way now, yes, I'm looking away. I'm not even looking at you. Could be random. I could be shooting you, I could be shooting the back of the set. I don't know. Let's go. Yes, loving it. Yes. Okay, now. You're a lemma.
Like a lemur?
Yes, a lemma, a rig-tailed lemma, a small mammal native to the African savanna. Hello?
These special appearances by these actors just add a new level of excitement to the project and kind of, I think, give off the sense that this was a really fun thing for people to do. Other people who are very good at what they do wanted to be part of this. I want to see that. And it made me, I want to direct that. That was how I felt about it. Oh, we get to work with people like Tim Robbins and Rebecca Romaine and Kristen Johnson. I want to be there, and that's what those people's visits to our sets allowed us to do.
That's it. Yes. Yes, you're turning the tiger. Your cornflakes covering frosting. That's what you are. Yes, very good. Yes. The lemmas, there we are. We're traveling in a gaggle. I've arbitrarily decided that word grouping lemmas is a gaggle. There we go. See, look at that. We're traveling. Okay, loving it. That's it. Travel. Travel.
Working with Mike is a director's dream for many reasons. That he brings a whole script. He brings the character. He shows up with a vision of what he wants to do with the character. So right away, there's a kind of huge amount of homework and pre-visualization that's already been done by the time I even show up. But it's my feeling that you can have Mike Myers on the screen and be sparking and coming up with the funniest takes on a particular type of humor, and in the background something else can be going on.
I think it's particularly good that his humor is very, very silly and rude and all that, but it's really not hurtful in any way at all, and you don't feel bad at the end of it. It's very much a sort of a good feeling at the end of his humor, and that's quite rare, I think.
Don't worry too much about the lens. You can actually face him even more. I wouldn't mind if your shoulder was a little more around towards him. Yeah, because to him. You're kind of leaning out of the shot a little too much. You can lean your shoulder, square towards him a little bit more. Okay, good. One more. Very nice.
Delish. If we shift our resources away from evil empires and towards Starbucks, we can increase our profits 5-fold.
Number 2, I make the decisions around here, okay? I demand a little respect.
Dr. Evil, you have...
Silence! I will not tolerate your insolence.
I love playing number 2. I've worked all my life to become number 2. And I love this character. And I want to tell you, I have a lot of people, young people, come up to me. You know, I'll be sitting in a restaurant someplace in the United States, and some kid will be standing at the window and he'll be going, you know, doing that.
In this film, as people will discover, there is a young number 2 played by Rob Lowe.
Mini-Me, I want you to meet number 2.
Hi there. Welcome to the team. Wow. I'd seen the first Austin Powers, and as I say, Mike and I being pals, he had actually called me and asked me to come down and do a day on it as a favor, and so I did, and it was great fun, and the sequence ended up not being in the movie, it's on the DVD. So, and what's really weird is for a sequence that's not in the movie, I have more people come up to me on the street and say, "Oh, I loved your bit in Austin Powers in the DVD." I think a lot of people have come to know these characters through the video and through cable.
And Rob has developed an uncanny, not quite imitation of Robert Wagner, but an uncanny character, let's say, based on Robert Wagner. The number 2 character in the 60s is derived from the number 2 character from the 90s that was played by RJ in the first film. And he has put on all of the poise and confidence and charisma that RJ has. Rob Lowe has adopted that, and his posture and his gestures, his eye patch, and the way he wears his hair and the look in his eye. And it's pretty amazing. It's actually a clone of RJ. We have 2 clones in the movie.
Well, you know, he's got this, he's just got a way. You know, he knows everyone in Hollywood. Did you know Bill Holden? He was a fabulous guy.
You know, I have 3 daughters, and so I knew Rob quite well before he got married. He was around my house, you know, making his mark, so I had to kind of keep my eye on him a little bit and watch him, you know, and be sure that he was behaving himself, you know.
I grew up, though, sort of around his house, really, in a way, because his daughter Katie and I were good friends for many, many years, and still are. So this is my first opportunity to work with him.
Dr. Evil, we began a program to clone you. He is exactly like you in every way. 1/8 your size.
Dr. Evil has a clone made of himself named Mini-Me, who is exactly like him in every way except he's 1/8 his size. And he's played by Vern Troyer.
Mini-Me, something small, something deadly.
They tried to bring him into my life before we even started the film. Vern, while, you know, quite a talented actor and comedian, it just seemed unnecessary for him to be like hanging out with my mom, you know, and he called my girlfriend, and, you know, next thing I know, they're going out to dinner and stuff, and he's just trying to be friends. You know, I'm not really into the method acting. Apparently, he trained with, like, you know, he went to the actor's studio, Meisner, whatever. I don't know, Strasberg, whatever. I've never taken a lesson in my life, you know, except for Hooked on Phonics. But he started really getting into the character, and, you know, I see him, and I'm trying to be nice. I'm like, nice to meet you, Vern. He's kicking me in the shins and leaving stuff for me in my trailer. It's just Nair in my shampoo. Is that necessary? Really?
Vern, what's this like for you going through this every day?
Well, it's hard to sit still, you know, for that long in one position. I mean, when I get up, you know, it's get a little stiff in the rear end, but...
So do you get any makeup breaks, or you have to sit there the whole 3 hours?
I usually just sit here the whole 3 hours just to get it over with. Just, you know, try to hurry the process as quickly as possible.
As you have the makeup put on, do you feel yourself becoming mini-me, or...
Oh, definitely. As soon as I see myself in the mirror, it's, you know, it's like a transformation. It's basically just jumping into the character, basically.
As you know, every diabolical scheme that I've hatched has been thwarted by Austin Powers. And why is that, ladies and gentlemen?
Because you never kill him when you got the chance and you're a dope?
No.
How does somebody have the ability to come up with a phrase that can then catch on with a whole culture and mean a million different things to a million different people and just become a watchword? I feel, you know, he's done it over and over and over again, which is a really amazing thing if you think of all the work from Saturday Night Live and the other movies. I mean, he has been able to kind of get these catchphrases or these ideas into the zeitgeist, and they float out into the whole world.
He's such an interesting actor because he's always coming up with a new idea, always got a new flavor, a new take on it, a new spin, and it's very exciting. And but you have to be very, very solid in what you're doing too, because you react within your character, so it's rather kind of improvisational to a certain point, you know.
You kind of get like a smattering of every character he's ever played. Like you hear a little bit of his Scottish accent that he did in, you know, So I Married an Axe Murderer, and you hear a little bit of the, you know, the little cheeky monkey, little boy in the bathtub character that he did on Saturday Night Live, and you're always getting like little bits and pieces of every character he's ever played. So he's really funny to be around. You just never know what's going to come out of him. It's just hilarious.
It's almost, when you find people working in that kind of a zone and at that kind of a level, it's the analogy is more to athletics for me. And to me, it's like watching Jordan. It's like watching Michael Jordan. He moves well without the ball, moves well with the ball, never gets tired, saves it for when it's right. All those great sort of nuances that great athletes have, Mike has in his performance and the way he's putting his movie together.
Anywhere from, you know, like the 8-year-old kids in the Midwest to people who really go to the movies all the time and are really discriminating. I mean, it just seems to cut across all those boundaries. I think that's such a hard thing to do, to find a movie like that. It kind of appeals to a lot of people in a lot of different groups. Funny stuff isn't really limited to demographic. And while like younger kids don't necessarily understand it, they recognize the bright colors, the silly, the dance numbers. It's fun. And I've had a lot of like dads tell me that my kid makes me act out all you and Dr. Evil scenes, and they're all from New York like that, apparently.
I know with my own grandchildren, for the first time ever, I saw respect and admiration in their eyes when they said, you're in Austin Powers. So one's done something right.
And as it turns out, the response has been unbelievably great, and I've enjoyed every second of it.
Mike Myers. Mike Myers.
What are you, some kind of freak? Your mother.
Heather Graham. In the biggest Austin Powers adventure yet. Austin Powers, the spy who shagged me.